And in this particular video, I want to speak about the benefits of tapping into your own sense of inner strength. Like, what is inner strength? And this is going to directly relate to just things like stereotypes, things like racism and power struggles. Like, I want to speak about the darker notions behind, race in our society, why we are stereotypical, why we have like these racist triggers and stuff. Because I'll tell you this right now, it's not just white people who's racist against black people. It's not black people who's just racist against white people or Asian people or Indian. It does not matter the race that you are. Naturally, all of us have subconscious triggers. Okay, you could be a black person. You see another black person crossing the street, and that black person may have a particular appearance. You have a trigger too. You have a stereotypical trigger too. So it's not just white people or people other than black. We all have these triggers. I want to speak about why. So, the first thing I want to go over is just race in America, at least. Not even in America. It doesn't matter. My thing is, like, I want to make it conscious to people that we all have racist triggers, prejudice triggers, stereotypical discriminating type of triggers. This is to protect ourselves. Okay, it's necessary to have some sort of prejudice. It's necessary to have some sort of stereotypes implanted in us to help protect us from negative experiences. So there is a need for it to a certain extent. However, it's important to not allow these experiences that we've had that might have been negative to allow us to treat others wrong and unfairly all the time. That's the problem. That's when things become like racist and just completely wrong and unjust, because you shouldn't allow your experiences to just allow you to prejudge somebody else's character. But it is important to kind of be able to utilize your past experiences, utilize some facts and information that you know about particular people, more so, where people come from rather than anything. Because here in New Jersey, okay, I live in the suburbs, but you go to Newark, New Jersey, I don't care if you're black or you're white or you're Chinese or you're Indian or you're whatever, Hispanic. Okay, in Newark, New Jersey, you better be careful regardless around all different groups of people. It doesn't really matter what race you are over there. You know what I'm saying? So this is something that I feel like people should be more aware of rather than the color of one's skin. Now, here's the thing when it comes to race, though, and the reason why people are triggered by black people. So first of all, there's a subconscious trigger that people have from African Americans or people of darker skin tones, because what you're picking up on is a mystery. You're picking up on a mystic vibration. And when there's a mystic vibration, it's easy to judge incorrectly by default, because you're judging something that's in a space of less light. And whenever there's less light, it makes it so that you cannot easily predict what the next action is. This is the reason why people are often subconsciously fearful of black people. This is why. That's what's deeply behind it. It's because, first of all, they named a particular group of people black. You named it a dark vibration. So by default, you're subconsciously always associating a group of people with a state of darkness, a state of the unseen world. Right? A lot of people argue that racism is not something you're born with. No, we're not born racist. That's correct. But you are born with subconscious triggers. People are naturally born with subconscious influences on how they end up perceiving things. And naturally, the color black is a mysterious vibration by default. Okay? So the other thing is that oftentimes the color black is associated with a dark, powerful vibration. So it's that energy of having a lot of power, but it's very behind the scenes and secretive. So this is true. You can look up numerous of videos about, the special gifts that African Americans, black people, or just minorities in general. This would be Indians included, Asians included, Hispanic, Latinos are in the indigenous, category, and black people, You could even say Arabs, whatever. Not saying that Europeans don't have their own special gifts, but listen, black people have a gift of being able to tune in with things in a different way. This gave at least white people power struggles with black people back in the day, because this gave them a different sense of strength that they felt they couldn't compete with. This was the reason why, too, things like slavery started. This is part of the reason why, because of that indifference, in belief system and this self-righteousness of, white people thinking that they can manifest destiny or whatever. Thinking that they just had a right to take over a specific group of people because they felt vulnerable, And this still goes on today in the police force, obviously, and in many other different avenues. And in many other different areas of life. But with that being said, my point being is that there is a natural power struggle between white people and black people because of this, because a lot of times black people or just minorities and people of other ethnic backgrounds other than just like European or white, they have the ability to act upon things through the right brain a little bit more so than, white people who use more of the left brain. So they use more logic, where black people could just sort of do things in a very creative way, in a very just right brain way. Look up right brain if you need to understand more so what that means. But in general, this is what gave black people a lot of their power. A lot of people will argue that, melanin has to do with this and stuff, Who knows? All right. But, I've looked it up. I do understand how this is so. It's the reason why oftentimes, black people stay young, looking for a longer period of time often, So this does hold some truth in some way. All right. But in general, this is the reason why, going back to the fact that black people were first named a particular vibration that indicates, I don't want to say negativity, but subconsciously we do pick up on that color as being more negative. Things are changing today. I'm not saying that people don't find it beautiful or anything. Many people find the color black beautiful. Many people find darkness beautiful. But the thing is that there's a subconscious trigger of uncertainty, and a lot of people that find these energies attractive or beautiful, they often just have a natural attraction to the mystery. You understand? These are people who are attracted to mysterious energies. So that's what is subconsciously, By subconscious, I mean this is what's behind the behavior that we have towards particular groups of people. And in this specific topic, I'm speaking on the power struggle between, Europeans and other groups of people. There's a difference in the aura, and the aura created the power struggle, the fear, and thus when somebody's in fear, they take control. Now, I never understood why black people allowed for white people to take control over them when they had all this power. And the only thing I can think of is manipulation. I feel like in the past, the Europeans, the white people manipulated black people into not knowing their true power. And this is what allowed them to take over in that manner. And then also too, as I said, that, white people, they operate more through the left brain often. I'm not saying all white people. Today, people are very mixed up, okay? So please do not confuse this with, you know, the groups of people that we have today. It's very difficult to really know, you know, what somebody is by just looking at them on the surface. So with that being said, you know, back in the day too, I feel like, you know, as I'm not good at history, but from what I can remember, I think, you know, the Europeans had more updated weapons and stuff, okay? Because like I said, the left brain oftentimes could see things that was created through the right brain, and then they make it real in a sense. So they were able to construct, you know, more advanced weapons and stuff, possibly to, you know, have that control over black people as well. So that's why the power struggle pretty much was created. That's what's behind the power struggle. And what I'm saying is that by subconscious, I mean, like, this is what influences our behavior and how we judge others and stuff. It's a lot of times what's behind it is auras, colors, and the way that we were categorized and organized. Like I said, they named black people, and subconsciously we associate the color black with danger because it's difficult to perceive, to see, to predict. So today this has manifested to, you know, power struggles with the police force and stuff like that. And the thing is, a lot of people who become police officers, what's behind that is a natural power struggle. A lot of people who are your police officers or who at least work in that field, they had power struggles in their home growing up. And that's the reason why, you know, it's all connected. If they had power struggles in one area, you know, they may try to do a lot to overcome that power struggle that they have in one area. So that means that there'll be an overexertion of the ego in another area of their life. A lot of times this is how police officers operate. There's power struggles in the home, right? They cannot control their husband or their wife well at all. So then they take advantage of others because of that lack of control that they have, you know, in one area of life, causes them to force control in another area of life. So that's why these things occur. A lot of the time, black people naturally come off with this energy of power. It's that vibration, it's that aura. And so with the police officers, you know, their natural power struggle issues that they have in other areas of their life, this allows for them to really take, you know, bigger chances. Like it's almost like, you know, all that energy that they're not able to express, you know, in certain areas of life, they will take the extra mile and really utilize, you know, what they have, like being a police officer, to, you know, go over their limits. And that's not right, because that's a problem within themselves. At the same time, a lot of people have that issue. A lot of people have power struggle issues in one area of their life, and thus in another area of their life, they may express too much of their ego. But, you know, police officers are known for this being an issue because these are the things that we tend to broadcast on the news. So this helps create stereotypes. A lot of people actually treat police officers really unfairly at the same time. Okay, but we don't think about these things. We don't consider these things because, you know, a lot of people just pay too much attention to, you know, one group of people's insecurities, and they forget to think about other people. I remember hearing stories, you know, in the past of police officers being mistreated and bullied, you know, just because a group of police officers in the past have done wrong. That doesn't mean that all police officers are that way, you see. But people get mad when people do that with black people, but then they don't ever really give a shit about it as it relates to people like police officers or other groups of people. Okay, just because, you know, just because there's ignorant white people, that does not mean that we should hate white people as a whole. Okay, I just don't see things that way, and I hope that we don't have to see things that way. I hope that there's good white people out there. Like, you know, I think there is, okay? At the end of the day, not everyone's like that. I'm telling you, everybody has subconscious stereotypical triggers. We're all triggered, all right? listen, I see and hear black people say the most racist shit. Okay, a lot of black people won't even date, you know, their own people because of their own ignorance that they have against their own people. All right, so it's not just white people or anything. Like, people are just very subconsciously influenced. They're sleeping and they don't notice why they're being influenced to perceive things in a particular manner. And yeah, it's all psychology. Now, as an African American female, I could provide some tips. Now, some people would say, a lot of black people would honestly say, oh, you don't count because your skin's a little bit lighter. I don't give a damn. I'm an African American female. I'm not considered white. Okay, people look at me and they see that I'm something else. Like, they're like, okay, she's not white. So, you know, at the end of the day, I'm an African American female. So, boom. Ethnically speaking, my dad is from Guyana, so you could say I'm Guyanese. I'm not from Guyana though. Not to be mistaken with Ghana in Africa. Those are two different places. Guyana is in South America, right next to Venezuela. It's not really like a Latino Hispanic thing. It's South American. It's like Caribbean, okay? So, and then my mom's African American. And like all black people have some sort of like Indian or something in them, like, you know, Native American or something in them. So with that being said, you know, just being respectful, okay, really goes a long way. Having respect and just maintaining inner strength, meaning that you're not pushing it out, you're not asserting it, you're holding it in and being empathetic towards the person you're interacting with. In this example, it's a police officer. You know how they want you to behave, play the role, and you have a higher chance of things coming out more so in your favor than the opposite occurring. Just by being a little bit vulnerable for like 10 minutes. For 10 minutes. But people, they like to assert their power onto a person who is technically in higher power than you, at least for the time being. Okay? So I want to provide some examples for this. In the past, you know, I've been pulled over by the police, like I'm sure everybody has. For me, it's usually speeding, okay? And whenever I got pulled over, you know, I'd be pissed off, but I always was respectful, okay? So I would pull over when I see the lights flash, and I literally just be like, hello, officer, how you doing? Why did you pull me over? Oh, you know that, but they usually don't say anything at first, like driver's license, registration, boom. Get my driver's license, whatever, registration, boom, okay? And I would, you know, hand it over to the police officer, and then they would say what the issue was, and, you know, they go in the back and do their thing. But I was always very respectful, okay? Even if I felt like I'm more in power, which my thing is, like, I know my rights, okay? A lot of people, they take knowing their rights a little bit too far. Know your rights, but just shut up and, you know, be respectful. And if that police officer is not directly disrespecting you, there's no reason for you to catch an attitude. There's no reason for you to, you know, disrespect that police officer, get loud with them. One thing to do is make sure you're not louder than the police officer. I always speak too low to the point the police officer starts yelling at me, and I just look at him like he crazy. To the point where there's often times where I don't even get a ticket for what I did. Like, they're literally just like, you know, I see you have a past ticket, you know, but, you know, it looks like you paid it off, and, you know, I don't think you meant to do what you did, so you just be careful, because next time, I don't know who's going to pull you over, and, you know, what their actions are going to be. And I just be like, thank you so much, like, I really appreciate that. And that's it. Even if I'm looking at the person like, this dumb idiot, you know, I'm trying to get to this restaurant to go eat, and now I gotta wait another 10-15 minutes for him to give me some bullshit ticket. There's times where I got pulled over for things I never even did. Another example of a situation I went through in the community I live in, okay, which is the suburbs. It's called Monroe Township here in New Jersey, all right? Now, we've been living in the community since 2001, all right? And I never forget this time where my brother and I were walking outside. It was a nice day. It was actually my brother and I and my sister-in-law, aka his wife. We were walking outside in this community that's literally right next to our house now. We live on a main road, so when we usually walk, we start to walk into the development. Now, I just want to continue this story. I am going to warn everyone that you're going to hear like the air sounds coming from my computer. I normally will just keep pausing the video when it starts, but I just want to like get this video over with and not have to keep pausing. We were taking a walk and we turned into the development. And now these white people who are new to the development moved in, I guess, I don't know how many years ago, but they didn't recognize us, and the kids were playing outside. And I never forget, this lady really came up to my brother. Now my brother is a 6 foot, you know, pretty like strong looking black male. Like, he's not like a tiny dude. Like, on the surface he looks intimidating until he opens his mouth, and then you're just like, oh, like, you know what I'm saying? He's a doctor. I've mentioned this in the past, and I never forget, and he currently doesn't live in New Jersey. He lives in Florida. At the time, he lived in New Jersey. We were walking in his development over by our house, and literally this white lady, okay, I cannot make this up, stopped us, came up to my brother and said, "You don't look familiar. Do you have a driver's license on you?" We were walking, mind you. And my brother just looked at her, and he opened up his wallet and showed his driver's license. And I remember she was just looking at us like, she's like, I'm sorry, this thing that white people be doing. Like, she's just like, oh, it's a nice day outside, you know? And she's like, it's nice to meet you guys. I remember we all shook hands and stuff, and I was just smiling the whole time, because I'm just thinking, like, little does she know, like, he probably got a better job than your husband, who was able to move into this community. But that's the way people are. There is a subconscious, stereotypical trigger that people have. And, you know, she's a white lady, but a lot of black people, a lot of Indians, a lot of Asians, everyone has these triggers. Not everyone has these triggers, but there's people of every race who have these triggers. And she really didn't have the right to do that, to ask my brother to show his driver's license. She didn't have that right. But that was my brother's inner strength, because to him, he's like, I'm a doctor. It's like, I'm fine. I know my power. But here you go. It probably reminded him of like something he has to do for his position at work anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, but that's like swallowing your pride. You know, he could have been like, bitch, I'm a doctor. Who the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Who are you talking to? Like, you see, but he didn't do that. He was very respectful. We shook her hand and we laughed about it when we turned around and walked away. Stupid, ignorant white lady. Ha ha ha. You see? Everything was peaceful. If we would have got loud and ignorant, she could have called the cops on us, and we could have got arrested for no reason at all. But we didn't do that. And everything was fine. And I could laugh about it and tell the story, you know, for a beneficial purpose. See, that's the strength card in the tarot. To be able to swallow your pride, and people could just feel the powerful energy from your aura. You don't have to assert that energy all the time. Not everything is that type of war, that type of battle. If you have a particular power, people will see it, people will feel it, people will recognize it. You don't have to push. That's the problem a lot of times, a lot of Black people or even Hispanics and stuff. You already have that silent power. As soon as you start to bark a little too much, be careful. People naturally feel threatened. It's sad. That's the way that, that's the way humans operate, because at the end of the day, we are natural human beings with instincts. We are trying to act through survival. So yeah, that's pretty much what I want to speak about in this video in particular. Just so people know, today is May 30th. It is my mom's birthday, actually. And yeah, it's 3:53 a.m. and I got a weird schedule. Blessings, love, and light to everyone. Thank you for watching. Peace out.